Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Out of the Box Developer 2026 season. Happy New Year to everyone, and welcome to this first session of the year. So, we're having just for starting with the right foot, we are starting the session with a guest here. But before introducing our guest to you, that is already showing here, let me say hello to our amazing hosts here, starting by you, Pedro. How you doing, Pedro? Happy New Year.
Hello, happy new year, everybody. Yeah, very excited for this new year and very excited for all the amazing topics we're going to have this year. And today is a really amazing one as well. So, yeah, very excited for.
Awesome. And what about you, Chila? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. Yes, thank you. I'm fine and welcome everyone who is joining the session. So I'm looking forward to this session because it will show that software engineering is not only writing code, it's much more. And our guests will share a lot more information on this. So,
Absolutely. Thank you, Chila. And about you, Tiago, Happy New Year.
Hello everyone. Happy New Year. And yeah, very excited to hear more about this very important subject. And today we have an amazing guest, so it will be an amazing conversation.
Absolutely, Tiago. Luis, Happy New Year. Amazing to have you here too.
Hello everyone. So happy New Year, happy 2026. I hope this year is the best year for your career. And yeah, I'm also excited for this topic today because I have lots of questions about DevOps, about observability, and having an experienced guy here to talk about this with us. I'm pretty sure I can ask these questions for him.
Absolutely, Luis. And I'm also looking forward to hear from our guests as well. And since I've wrote a chapter about this subject, about observability in the book I've wrote with Tiago and the other writers as long as well. So it will be amazing to explain about that. So our guest, he is Oracle Ace. He is a senior engineer here. And yeah, I like what I see in your hands. That's amazing.
This
That's
is
our
my
book.
yeah. This is my the one I got. I was reading during the trip, during the flight.
Oh, amazing. We're very happy to see you with an example of our book there. And I've wrote a lot about this subject, and it will be amazing to hear from you now. And here is with you guys, Tiago Gonzaga. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
amazing. And just for starting, like Sila mentioned, development goes much beyond just coding, just developing features, especially when we're looking to microservices world, where we do have lots of services that are interconnected. Many of them depend on other, and we need to trace from where a request starts and where it ends. And in that middle, you can have hundreds of services, and you need to know where the error happened, if it happens, or how to handle these data, these errors, and have a clear visibility of that. And that's where the observability starts. And I want to hear from you, Tiago. Well, from what I've told right now, this looks something that it's very important, right? What do you think about that, Tiago?
Yeah, actually, I think that as a developer, we were like sometimes more worried about the code itself, or the application itself. And the point is, like, as our code base grows and as the features and the services start growing, and especially now that we are managing a lot of services all together with microservice technology, or any other like hexagonal or any other approach that you might like. So we do need to understand actually how our application behaves. So that this is where observability comes in. So actually, it's not just about monitoring. So in the past, we used a lot this term like monitoring, because this is what we used to do. Like, just see if the application like is up or not. Like, understand like if like our server is up or not, if consuming memory or CPU, and things like that. Like some, what I will call like this, like some basic metrics. But nowadays we need to understand much more. So we need to understand like the path that our user goes, and how this path, how this tree like opens up in our system. Understand like not only the time we are consuming for our requests, but we want to understand like what is consuming our time during the request, like databases, like processing. So what is consuming? So we want to understand like much more, because as soon as we are getting like requests from like a lot of different places, and these requests are redirected to a lot of different services. So we want to guarantee that the experience that our user is having is like smooth, I would say. Um, so just like basic metrics, like CPU and memory, and if it's our system is up or not, is not enough. So that's why we need to understand actually the whole history um, of the user's behavior. So this is where it comes like we use like metrics. So we have like not only the basic metrics, CPU and memory, but we do have like latency, error rate. We can like with uh, let's say here, garbage collector, deposits that our virtual machine, if you're using some language that runs on a virtual machine, some language that needs garbage collection. So we need to understand like the time that is we are expanding on those resources as well. And of course, we need a little bit more. We need to understand like the data our application is consuming, like logs. We need to understand like how our application is behaving throughout the request. So that's why logs are important as well, because we do need to understand what is happening. And now we need a little bit more information. This is where I would say traceability comes, which is like the ability for us to understand like when we call a path, we call an API. So how it goes down, like the processing, like how the latency between like the calls, the latency between the CPU calls, and the inner database we is consuming like the query that we are using. So we want to like dig a little bit deeper there as well, so we can optimize, or we can try to find at least more information if an error occurs, for example. So now we gather all this information and we can match. I think this is the most important thing. It's not because we all have like the metrics logs and things like. We want to match them accordingly. So this is a really an interesting point of observability, because we can correlate the log with the trace with the metric. So we know exactly what's happening at that point of time in terms of CPU, memory, and also latency and whatever other metrics that we can have, because we have the ability to correlate. You know.
Yeah, Chub, you talked about many things that we need to do to have all these kind of things. So if we want to have this trace and this correlation and also all these metrics, it seems to be a little bit hard to have all of that. Let's say that I have many microservices. I have to have the same trace ID, so we can have correlation and we find all the request and all the trace and the all the path that the request has passing through. And this is many things that we need to do, and it seems a little bit hard to do it by yourself by creating libraries and do it manually. So how companies are doing with that, because it seems to be a lot of things.
That's a very good question. I think for like many years we've been using like other tools which does this automatically for us. Especially you guys have like probably worked with like New Relic, Datadog, or Dynatrace. So all these vendors, they offer a solution for you, which is like out of the box. So you just get that and use it. Like you don't need to do much configuration. You just have an agent running on your host alongside with your application, and then this agent is responsible for like doing and getting the information for you. And then most of these guys, they offer you a really nice dashboard, a really nice view for you to get. So so in the past, we didn't need to worry much about this because it's all done. The problem is like these guys are becoming quite expensive, and if we look for alternatives, that's what like most companies are trying to do. So they create like an organization to define a pattern, to define a standard. So we can treat this data across like different vendors in a similar way. So whenever you need to move to a different vendor, so we follow that same the same pattern, the same standard, which is like OpenTelemetry. OpenTelemetry is like a combination of other two, like OpenCensus and OpenMetrics. I think OpenCensus and OpenMetrics. And then they become like OpenTelemetry, which is like offer the three basic things for observability, which is metrics, logs, and traces, all in a single place, in a single standard. So in this case, all you need to do is you need to implement this pattern in your agent, in your collector, and then you don't need to care much about how to handle this. You just provide the information, the collector handles everything for you. And good enough, we do have like really nice collectors going on. We have an OpenTelemetry collector, which is made by the OpenTelemetry itself. But also we have like other providers offering the same solution. But OpenTelemetry is completely open source and free, so you can download the agent, you can install on your servers. It has a really nice configuration based on YAML files, which is like pretty easy to set. And then the only thing that you need to do like is like just point your application to send the data there. But the good thing,
question.
Sure.
So just for me to understand, so OpenTelemetry is a standard that the vendors are implementing, or is it a solution?
That's a very good question because it's both. So OpenTelemetry is a standard, and they also offer the solution, which is the collector for us. So actually, you don't need to pay for anyone for doing that. Of course, if you are paying, you can get it for the vendor that you are paying. But if you're doing like your own hosting platform, so you don't need to pay anyone. You can use the OpenTelemetry collector, which is provided by them itself. They have the binaries for like most operating systems, for Windows, Linux, for Mac. They have like for ARM and for x64 binaries. So it's all there. That's a good thing. And I would say the good point of it is like we have like two nice ways of doing this. So in the past, so you can of course use the pattern that the vendor is using. This is something that it doesn't matter. You just need to send the data to your collector, and then this collector does what they need to be done. Otherwise, you can configure your code for doing that for you also. So that's where now the developer comes in, because now you can handle the data on your code and how you provide this information for the OpenTelemetry collector. For and this is one of the nice thing, because now you can add as many information as you want into the metric and the traces system. So you don't need to only rely on the information that the providers want to get. You can put your own information. For example, this is one thing that I did a couple of years of months ago, actually. So we add to our metrics like the costs of API calls for OpenAPI, for OpenAI. Sorry. So now we know exactly how much our tokens are costing, because every call that we does for that, we can create a trace, and then we send this trace to a collector, and then we can see the dashboard in a Grafana. So in a really nice view. That's
And
one
that's
of the
gold.
yeah.
We could say that's literally gold.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, let me just say hello to the guys here on the chat. So, Andres, Happy New Year to you. It's great to have you here in this new year. Dennis, Happy New Year as well. And Dennis is also asking a question here. Does Open Telemetry support events?
Then in which sense that you say events, like Open Telemetry actually supports like any sort of data that you want to send that. The point is, some basic stuff it already has implemented. For example, the good things like OpenTelemetry has a lot of what it called exporters. So the exporters are responsible for grabbing an information. So for example, we have the exporter, which is responsible for getting like CPU and memory from the node. Yeah. If you mean events, like you mean by, for example, RabbitMQ or SQS thing, like to measure the queue size, for example, or measuring like the throughput of the queue in this term. So yes, it does support. You can add an exporter for RabbitMQ, for Kafka, for SQS, and then you can track like the queue size. You can track like the amount of events it's receiving, the amount of events it's consuming, or the amount of for example, data we are rejecting, like a queue which is have limited size, and if it goes beyond that, we start rejecting. So we can also measure like the amount of data we are rejecting, the error rate, and things like that. Don't know if that answers your question.
Great. And also, Angelo says, hi, everyone. Hi, Angelo. Great to have you here, too.
Angelo.
Yeah, and we can see that this goes much beyond just knowing how much it's just using the resources of the machine. There's a classical example that always uses e-commerce in the Black Friday day, how it scales and how it behaves on the higher demand, and how it scales, and how do you keep track of everything to not fail. And here's where it comes all together with the tools, with the traceability, with the metrics, with the logs, and having dashboards and also alerts to to alert the team if needed for something, not only on the Black Friday, but and it depends on the service that you're handling. You just put an example that's absolutely gold in the AI era, using AI APIs like crazy. It can just burn your tokens budgets in a much less time that it would be. So, and also Angelo is just bringing his first question here. If does OpenTelemetry impact on performance?
Yeah, that's a very good point. In terms of the application itself, it doesn't affect the performance at all. It's actually an SDK, a library that you put in an application, so it runs alongside with your application. So in this case, like there is basically no performance impact at all. In the past, we used to have like a problem. I don't know if you guys have ever used Prometheus, but Prometheus is a standard like for quite a long time, which is like a time series database for metrics. And Prometheus normally they run out in a sidecar of your app. They used to run on a sidecar in your application just to scrape, and normally this Prometheus running on the sidecar might impact the performance because they are also competing for the same CPU and memory resources of your application. In the case of the OpenTelemetry, it doesn't compete with any resources because you can run the collector outside. You can run the collector, for example, if you can even run the collector in the cloud, and then you just need to configure your application to call the API, the API, the OpenTelemetry API, and send the data there. So normally it doesn't affect the performance at all, which is like make things like much simpler than we did in the past. Of course, if you still put your telemetry collector in the same in the same host, probably OpenTelemetry also consumes a lot of memory and CPU, so it might end up concurring with your application, and then of course affect the performance. But running outside, it doesn't.
Yeah, the way of telemetry and other frameworks like Micrometer, they handle these metrics seems to be less intrusive compared to the old Prometheus style, especially because Prometheus depends on him having these metrics implemented on your code to track it. Uh, and of course, with these frameworks, if you need a specific data, you need to log it there. But you can get a lot much more from the logs itself instead of having to build metrics by it all. So I would say that it's kind of revolution that we have with open telemetry, and it kind of automates a lot what you need to know about the overall health of our system, not only logs, not only hardware, and the traceability. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and we do have some more comments here. So Ricardo Mendes, so Java team turning on. Yeah, here we are.
Hey,
And
Ricardo.
Dennis also about the events that you were answering before. I mean, like an event, like an error in your app. Can I detect an error and send as an event or alarm? Absolutely. But Thiago is gonna answer you.
Yeah, actually, what do you mean by like in this case like an event? So of course
Yeah.
you might need a new guy, which is like the alert manager, which is responsible for grabbing this information and then send for a place that you want, like sending by email, SMS, or other things. Like I would say um, the OpenTelemetry itself, it's only for metrics, logs, and traces. But when you have the metrics and the traces, then you can, of course, act on those metrics and act on those using an alert manager on that.
Great.
Interesting. Just a question about that. I use Datadog here in the company,
Mm-hmm.
and Datadog is a beast. It's something like huge, incredibly powerful, and of course they use all the stuff like logging, tracing, and everything, and alarms as well, and
Mm-hmm.
dashboards, and there is plenty of this. In my day to day here is we see alarms being fired in Slack. So there is a channel here in the Slack that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we have a alarm being fired, and then there's people on call to see what's happening. And sometimes it's an alarm that starts because some call is taking more than the biggest time it should be taking, and then it stays like this for 15 minutes, and then it's go down again and say okay, it's recovered.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. How open telemetry can compare to that? It's something that open telemetry can do as well.
In this case, so of course you might need other tools for like getting the whole package. I would say that's why we use Grafana for that. So in this case, as I mentioned, OpenTelemetry works offer like the standard. So you need to send this data somewhere, and that's the good thing. Like OpenTelemetry does support like OpenTelemetry support like most of the vendors like Datadog, like New Relic, but it does support open source tools. So when you combine your OpenTelemetry with like tools like you can use Jagger, Zipkin, you can use Temple, you can use Prometheus, you can use Mimir, Loki, Elasticsearch. So you can combine with all those tools, and then we can, of course, have this on dashboards using Grafana, which is, I would say, one of the most used open source observability tool that we have. Um, so in this case, what how it normally works. So normally you have set what we call your observability stack, where it will receive this data and process all this data, and then it can act on things like that. I would say, for example, in my job, what we use. So we might have migrated actually from Datadog and New Relic to an entirely open source, which is hosted by ourselves. So our stack has like we use Temple, Grafana Temple for traces. We use Grafana Loki for logs, and we use Grafana Mimir for the metrics. So we send OpenTelemetry connects to all these guys and send this data to these three guys, and Grafana gets this information and create dashboards from these guys. And Mimir, for example, Mimir implements Prometheus and also other patterns, but Prometheus is the most common. And also it has its own alert manager. So you can create the rules, the alerting manager rules. You can even use Grafana for that. If you want to do it like in a really nice view, you can use Grafana to create your alerts based on the rules that you want. For example, okay, so if we see our error rate going beyond this thing, so we just trigger an alert, and this alert can connect to PagerDuty if you need like phone calls just to call you in the morning. It can like create Slack messages. It can send through email. It can send like in a lot of different formats. Unfortunately, most of these plugins are free, especially email and Slack. The problem is like we don't have like a free plugin for phone calls. So if you want something like that, you might need to pay, for example, for Twilio or for PagerDuty or another tool which can make phone calls. But for the basic like Slack messages and email, so we have like free plugins, and then we can use it with Grafana with no problem.
Yeah, but looking at that scenario described, if you're moving from Datadog and New Relic to an all open source structure, you're saving tons of dollars in the way, lots
Yeah,
of dollars. It just
that's
does it much more democratic if you're starting a new business and you're not able to afford paying a dog license. For bigger companies, that's okay, but for smaller ones, open source is key.
yeah. The good thing is that's why I'm saying this is why OpenTelemetry is really good at, because imagine, for example, so you're paying for New Relic and Datadog, so you can simply use OpenTelemetry to send data to your vendor. There is no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine that you just need to migrate to a new one, so you don't need to rewrite your things because you just need to point your OpenTelemetry collector to a different server. So it's like a really nice transition.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a plug and play because it follows a standard for OpenTelemetry, and the vendors, they will have an input for OpenTelemetry format.
Yeah, and that's why I would say this is important, because actually vendor lock-in, I would say this is the most horrible thing that it can happen. We have like tons of microservices running. Here we run Java, and we were using like New Relic and Datadog in general, and we are like burning about like almost 80K monthly in licensing and data ingestion in users, because New Relic and Datadog, you pay by users, you pay by the number of the data you ingest, and you pay by the number of queries that you do on your dashboards. So you pay like for everything that you do.
Number of categories you put in your tags.
Yeah, they are like really awesome. You can brighten your eyes when you see like all the things that they can do, but of course they charge you for that.
That's the cost of the magic.
The cost of the magic. Yes, you're totally right. Yes.
Guys, let's just take a look on the comments here. Angelo also commented before, avoiding excessive spam would also be a good practice. I believe he meant log spam. Yeah, absolutely, because this can also lead to performance issues as well. If that's logging too much garbage. If you just need to debug things while you're developing, you do log as a debug and remove it after, or just leave that as a debug, since it will not be logging on a production environment or even on a development environment. And here we have our awesome guy here as well. Hi everyone. Hi.
Hi,
And
Samuka.
yes, Samuka.
Samuel.
Try to remember his name. Here he is. Samuka. He's everywhere.
Yeah,
Yes.
he is.
Andres Tays agrees with you guys. Datadog is awesome, and he used it in his previous jobs. And Dennis thanked you from your answer before, and also mentioned that Grafana LGTM is awesome for hotel.
Yeah, guys, I have a comment and a question for Thiago. The first comment, you were saying about the cost, and like using as in the production side or using technologies in the development. For example, we are using Datadog in our company for the production, and we're trying to use Prometheus, Grafana, and open source tools for the development and homologation environments, so we can avoid this cost of too much spam or too much logs in the mainly in the development environment. Do you think this is a good practice, Thiago? And afterwards, I have another question.
Yeah, if you are using the OpenTelemetry standards, and of course, it will help you save a lot of money because you just like can create separate environments. So you just use Datadog for production. So you are not putting any non-production data there. So you can like do a better thing in terms of costs, of course. And as I mentioned, as it's pluggable, so you can just need to point your OpenTelemetry configuration to send to New Relic, Datadog, or just send to your local Grafana, to your local Mimir or Locky or Elasticsearch. So you don't need, so you can put there as much data as you want, because you don't need to keep like controlling. That's why Igor mentioned it's more democratic, and that's why we opt for doing even our production environment, because especially for users, we had to control like which one can access or not the dashboards, because we pay per user. Also, I need access, so we need to like grant access to someone, then this guy see what he needs to see, and then we have to revoke his access to not consume our seats in the but now with OpenTelemetry and Grafana, we can give like anyone access. So now the access is based by email, the Gmail that we have, our enterprise Gmail. So they just use that to log in. They have access to all the dashboards. Yeah, and this is more democratic. Yeah, you can like give access to anyone without thinking about costs.
Awesome. And my second question is career related. You are very experienced with DevOps, but you're also very experienced as a Java developer. You're also a JUG leader, so you know how's the market right now for us developers. And why are so many backend and senior developers now asking for observability? Like, do you think this is a new topic that is very important, mainly for senior developers?
Yeah, definitely. It's totally important. So we used to like most rely on DevOps and our SRE guys, but the problem is like DevOps and SRE, they are expensive, and not all the companies can afford to have a team of DevOps and SRE on their company. So a lot of companies are opting to have their backend guys to understand observability, so they can help at least understand the application side, not the infrastructure, but at least understand the application side. I think this is the most important thing that we need. When it comes to observability, we don't need to understand like CPU and memory usage, for example, of the host, but we do need to know like how much CPU and memory our system is using. So our applications, like how it will behave in a customer environment. Like, so we can't afford sending to production like a system which is like, I would use like Chrome as an example, like which is like as many tables as many tabs as you have open, it eats up all your RAM memory. So we can afford doing that, because actually memory is like money, you know, especially if we're running on the cloud. Memory is really expensive, so you can afford like giving free memory for your system. You need to understand like uh, uh, the memory it consumes, and of course, and all the things that are, you know, related to it. Not only memory. You need to understand like, you know, if your query, like if you're using, for example, GPA, which is like, or Link, or any other framework which does the object mapping on a relational database. So you need to understand like which queries it is doing, and understand like if the queries are optimized or not. Because if you for example like do a if in your code, for example, you do a non-optimized query, uh, doesn't matter which programming language you are using, so it's not optimized. You probably ended up, you know, bursting CPU and memory from your database server as well. So your application will, like, the latency of your application, although you're not consuming CPU and memory on your application, the latency will go higher because you need to wait for the database to come back before you reply to the user. So, you know, so all this process, you need to understand how it flows. You know, that's why observability is important, because you also need to understand like your database calls. You need to understand all the other, you know, processing things that you are doing in your code. Uh, and of course, now, especially now that we use AI tools as well, so we need to understand also the amount of tokens we're consuming. So this is another example. So we cannot like simply consume as many as we can, because of course now tokens also means money. So as many tokens as we send, as many tokens we are using, so it will end up with a lot of this will be like much higher. So again, if the developer which is creating these APIs, which is creating the calls, which is doing the calls actually for this external vendors. So if they don't understand what they are doing, so they probably ended up doing something wrong, and then, you know, giving a pretty high bill to their client, of course, all the company they are working to. So uh, and even more, they will like keep asking for like more, especially on the backend side, because as many information as you can get from your applications, the better for you to avoid a service disruption, for example. So yeah, observability will be like, I would say, crucial for any backend developers from now on.
Absolutely, Thiago. I totally agree with you. And that's even more visible when you're working in a startup environment, because in startups, you are the DevOps. Most of the cases, you're the guy that is going to deploy it, that is going to follow up, maybe not on production, but on the other environments where you will test your environment. You will create your config maps, your Docker file, the configuration everything needs. So you will also need to know how to implement this observability. Maybe not for you to use it, more for the guys on the production environment. They will make more usage of that for you, but eventually, if that's an issue in code, like you mentioned, you need to know if you are doing something that is gonna run forever, and it's gonna use a lot of CPU and memory from the cloud, because that can cost a lot of money. Like the token example you used with AI, process on AWS or any other cloud provider can cost you tons of money as well. So that's a very important subject for anyone that is backend as well, not just code. You need to understand what you're doing and how to visualize that, how to metric that, and how to have this complete observability we're discussing until now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
You mentioned visualize because all those data doesn't make sense until you visualize. So you understand what's happening in your system. So as I understood it correctly, you are using Grafana for it. So what's your experience with it? What you think are the good points? Maybe less good points, and what are the concurrent products? That's what I wanted to ask you, Thiago.
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. I've been working actually for Grafana for more than 10 years already. And I would say like the let's talk about like the not good things. Grafana is really a really nice observation tool when we can like visualize the data in many forms. So it has like tons of plugins. It has like tons of integration with like tons of systems. The point is like when we are comparing with like Datadog and New Relic, of course, Datadog and New Relic, they're simple to use, and they have like all the dashboards ready to use. So you don't need to do much. You just need to like sometimes drag and drop, or sometimes just like select the data that you want, and then it out of the sun it creates like a really nice dashboard for you, with basically like no work. But Grafana doesn't work that way because Grafana, you need to understand the data that you want, and you need, of course, to query. So Grafana is not only a visualization tool; it's like a querying tool as well, where you need to understand like at least the querying language for getting like the main language that it uses is like PromQL, which is the Prometheus query language for getting the metrics, but it also like supports some specific language for like querying logs and for querying traces. So you need to not only understand that, but you need also to create the dashboards by yourselves. Of course, Grafana has a marketplace that you can get dashboards other people create so you can use. The problem is not always the dashboard they have there will work on your situation. So you might need to adjust. So if you don't understand the querying language, if you don't understand the structure of the dashboard, so it might be hard for you to like fix or to add something to your visualization. So I would say this is the most difficult part. So the learning curve, it's a little bit, I would say higher than compared to the paid ones, the paid versions. But in this case, this is the only bad thing, but the good thing is that it's like, I would say that it's pretty flexible. It's like you can do basically everything that you want. If you know how to do that, so you can do everything that you want. That's the good thing of Grafana. But of course, you have to pay the price of having to learn this new tool. But I say that it's worth paying, especially because, like I would say, it's better than paying like tons of money for the other tools that we have available.
Yeah, absolutely. I do work with Grafana as well, and these queries are very powerful. You can just combine multiple queries. You do have a lot of functions. You can sum data. You can uh, create intervals, and the dashboards, they are in a JSON kind of format. You have lots of styles that you can do. You have time series. You have pie charts. You have stats. So you do need to build that manually, But once you're used to do that by yourself, you would not go back on getting a ready dashboard someone did and try to personalize that. It's kind of the kind of people that get used to drive a manual car because he wants to drive in a sporty way, because you can control more manually the shifts. And when this guy drives an automatic car, he says, I don't want to drive this crap, give my manual back, because he wants to race. He don't want something that drives for his own. It's this kind of comparison, I would say. Of course, for business that they always want everything for yesterday, the paid tools are much faster because they have lots of things that looks good and works good, but it costs. So when it comes to money, business needs to decide: you want it fast, you have to pay; you want it cheaper, let's go craft this one by one, and we will have also a great result.
Yeah, definitely.
And hey, we have here a message for Luis. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. We host discussions here every other week, but I want to listen to Luis saying the message.
Yeah, hit subscribe and activate the alert from this channel so you don't lose the next discussions here.
Absolutely, guys. And give us your like if you're enjoying this discussion. Also, Douglas showed around here. Hi, Douglas. And we're having an awesome conversation here about this metric. Any other question here, guys? You would like to do too, Thiago? So, Thiago, you mentioned a lot of subjects here about all the open telemetry SDK, the collectors. These are very powerful tools. This is a very complete ecosystem that can help you a lot to keep track of your overall system, and that's a skill that every backend developer should be aware of it. So for everyone that is watching us, if you like this subscription, if you like this conversation, if you feel a lot of value on it, subscribe, hit your like. And if you want to go deeper on this subject and have your own guides on how to implement using OpenTelemetry, using micrometer, and how to do a manual filter, how span trace ID works, parent ID works. You want to see that in action on Grafana, on Jagger, you can check our book that is Master Web Services with Java that I've wrote with Thiago here. And also our great guest here, Thiago Gonzaga, he is also taking a look on that as well, reading from that. I hope you're enjoying the subject, the content of the book, Thiago. And we've done a lot of work on that, and probably if you check it, you will learn a lot from everything we have discussed here so far. So if you want to go deeper on that, you can get your book and follow along with that. So for now, thank you a lot, Thiago, for having us here, for being with us today or tonight. I would say, depend on where you are. Tonight, right here, right now, right? So it was an awesome conversation having you here.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Would you mind if I shared the examples? I have the repository so the guys can explore a bit. I did it like in different languages,
Wow.
Python, Go, and Node.js.
Great.
So you guys can explore a bit. Let me just get the links for you.
Absolutely. You can just send it for us right now, and we can share. You want to share your screen, or you want to share the links for your repository?
No, if you want to, I can share the link, so you guys can do it at home.
Just send us right now, and we will send them to our audience here in the chat. They want to see that. So, guys, here is the gift for you that stayed until the end of our session. And like Andres say, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified when we go live. That's a great one. Hit the bell.
And Thiago, while you get the links, how can we follow you? Because you are also a speaker, not only a Oracle Ace, you share a lot of things. So how can we find you and follow your content?
Oh yeah, if you guys like, so you can follow me at I do it on Twitter at DevOps _ Thiago. I cannot update. I cannot update for it. Okay. So on LinkedIn, which is Thiago SG on LinkedIn, and on if you want GitHub, it's like DevOps Thiago. That's the only difference.
Yeah,
because LinkedIn doesn't allow us to use underscore. So these are the things that you can guys
so
follow
guys,
me on.
You're receiving these links here in the chat of the session, so you can follow Thiago on his platforms, check out his example he just shared, and you can connect with Thiago as well on LinkedIn. Let me just finish copying the LinkedIn one if LinkedIn allows me to.
Copy. And Thiago, thank you so much for sharing here with us, because as a developer, I'm always like a little bit preoccupied with DevOps related things. Today, I think we are not, it's like that full cycle thing. We as developers, we have to know how to code, but also how to solve problems, how to use cloud, how to monitor things. So it's very good to have your perspective on that topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed our discussion. And of course, I'm open to discussion. You can approach me on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and then just, any questions that you guys have, I'm glad to help.
Great to have you here, and enjoy your trip around Europe, Thiago. And that's it, guys. We hope you guys that are watching us have enjoyed this session. If you didn't already, get your links in the comment section here with the examples that Thiago is sharing with us. And for the final words, thank you a lot, Thiago. It was a pleasure to have you here and to talk about this subject that I really like. Is something I've been touching a lot, especially during the writing of the book. And it's great to get into it again and learn from other people that is also applying these frameworks and expanding my knowledge as well here with you guys. So thank you for being with us here, Thiago.
Thank you so much, Thiago.
Thank you,
Thanks.
guys. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Igor. Thank you,
Thank
Chagos.
you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
Chilo.
you, guys. See you
Thank you,
next
Luis.
time on the next session. Bye bye.
See you
See
in the next
you.
session.
Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Take care.